Welcome to the EOB podcast where we talk about the weekend box office and the new openings this week. I'm Benno and joining me is Sen Duong. Hey, Sen, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, happy Lunar New Year's or happy Chinese New Year, however you want to put it.
Right.
Yeah, I think a couple other nationalities celebrate the Lunar New Year as well. So it's not just
Right.
Chinese New Year.
Yeah, I think a bunch of countries from Southeast Asia also
Uh-huh.
celebrate
Like, like,
Lunar
like
New Year.
Vietnam, I think
Uh,
Korea as well.
Cambodia, Hmong.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. Because
Yeah.
they're all from this region and they influence each other. And hey, it's the day after the Super Bowl as well.
Yeah, yep. Lots of Super Bowl commercials to discuss later.
Oh, we can. I didn't catch it, but we can talk about it.
Right.
Yeah, speaking of the Super Bowl, I didn't think I include the Super Bowl in my projections of the new openings. But hey,
Oh yeah, me neither. Forgot about that, huh?
I know. That's why we're amateurs. We're still new at this. Pros could say, hey, yeah, the Super Bowl is coming up, and it will have a major influence on the box office.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of those influences. I don't think it affected us much. Well, maybe it did. We'll see.
Okay, let's jump right in.
The
Okay.
number one movie for the second week in a row is Kung Fu Panda 3 at 21 million. 49% drop off after 2 weeks. It has already grown 69 million, which is not bad for this part of the year. But from what I read, it's 15% off from the second film, which was already like, I don't know, 15, 20% off from the year before that. Unless it can hold up better in the coming weeks, it'll continue the downward slide of the franchise. And I'm not sure if it's going to make up for much of it in China because Kung Fu Panda 2 did really well in China, made like 95 million. But Kung Fu Panda 3 it'll make more than that. Looks like it'll probably make like 120, but not too much more. We'll see how it does during the new year, but the new year in China is really packed with New Year films.
Kung Fu Panda 2 was released in the summer months. This one was
Yeah,
released in the cold January. Is it January? Yeah.
yeah,
And
the second slowest movie season of the year.
and that's true. Given that, it's still the highest animated movie opening ever, given limited competition. And
Yeah, at this
and
time, at
yeah,
this
this time,
time,
right,
yeah,
this time, and the second weekend happened on a Super Bowl weekend.
yeah. So we have to
So
give it some leeway there. Yeah,
yeah, we have to give this movie another week in to see how it goes because the Super Bowl is huge here. It's kind of like a family affair.
yeah, we will have to look out in the following weeks, but so far it's behind the second film, which was behind the first film. I think the next animated feature comes out in about a couple of weeks.
It's Utopia, I believe.
Yeah, Zootopia. So it has about 3 weeks to do its business. We'll have to see how it does worldwide. In China, it did slightly better than the previous film. It looks like it's continuing on that downward slide.
We just have to keep an eye out for this because
Yeah, we
over the
yeah,
long term, this looks like a movie that's I have to play out in the long term because right now the initial figures doesn't look good, but it's good enough, right?
it's good. It's just not great.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good place to be in. It's like hold on until the next movie.
Yeah. Although if the next movie starts to drop off by the same percentage, then they'll worry or they'll lower the budget.
Right. Okay, let's go on to number two. It's one of the new movies that was released last weekend called Hail Caesar. It's the Coen Brothers movie.
Mhm.
That stars a whole bunch of people, and they kind of advertise it as a star-studded ensemble movie. A story about a studio chief whose main movie star, it is a movie about movie.
Yeah, like the player.
George Clooney. George Clooney plays the star in this big epic. Got kidnapped by some communists, and then they had to scramble to find him. Reviews are good. Critics about 79% on the tomato meter, but the
Yeah,
cinema
although
score is a C minus.
the thing with this is the Coen brothers are kind of review proof, critic proof. I mean, critics love them. There is a huge disconnect though between critics and the cinema score. Usually, I mean, a lot of people, your general audience, when they see a movie that they like that critics don't like, they'll say, "Oh yeah, critics, what do they know?" But in general, critics do agree with the audiences a lot of times. But this is one of those times that they disagree.
Well, for this
And
movie,
Michael Bay movies.
Right, right. I mean, for this movie, I'm not surprised because, like we said last week, insider movies are hard to do and don't do that
Yeah,
well because there is this thing that critics can laugh at. There are like insider jokes that the general audience might not get or might not find funny.
yeah. It's one of these films for film enthusiasts, people who watch hundreds of movies a year, not your general audience who only watch like 9 or 10 movies a year.
Yeah, and they
Uh,
kind of know how the studio system works, right? I mean, if you don't
yeah,
know, if you just want to watch the movie, it's like, what's going on there? Why is this funny?
right. Like they might not get a lot of the insider jokes, but 11.4 million and at a budget of just 22 million, it's not too bad. The only thing is, with such a poor cinema score, the drop off next week is going to be huge. It could be one of those 60 to 70% drop offs.
But this movie did better than our projections, right? We both had it around
Yeah,
10 million. Given
yeah,
that we
just
didn't,
slightly better.
yeah, slightly better. Given that we didn't, I guess we forgot the Super Bowl. Super Bowl probably knocked a couple million off its box office total.
Yeah, probably. But I'm thinking people who go watch this Hail Caesar probably don't watch the Super Bowl, I don't think.
No, no, I think they trend older or maybe just industry people.
But yeah, it did do a little bit better than we expected, though. So, and compared to the other Coen Brothers movies, it did okay. It's not True Grit or it's not No Country for Old Men. The only problem with most of their films is they tend to be platform releases. This one
Hmm.
just went wide because of all those stalls, probably.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to compare to their previous openings. But 11 million for a movie that only cost 22 million to make, that's pretty good.
Yes, and Coen Brothers movies are always kind of for the film enthusiasts. You know, they're not
Yeah.
mainstream material, you know, with the rare exception of True Grit and, No Country for Old Men. But most of their stuff are
Oh, born after
indies.
reading.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But they're kind of indies and for, like I say,
Yeah.
film enthusiasts. And I think
Yeah.
Hail Caesar is no different, except that it stars all these people. George Clooney, Ralph Fiennes, Channing Tatum, Scarlett Johansson, Jonah Hill. They just want to work with him, and they probably took a pay cut for this.
Right.
I mean, normal studio blockbuster couldn't afford to have all these people in here.
Yeah, I kind of like what Paul Schrader said. He saw The Assassins, which was a Chinese martial arts epic that he didn't like. He wasn't very impressed with, but he was looking forward to it for a whole year because of the buzz from Cannes. And he basically said, "Hey, there are people like that director and the Coen brothers. People invest in them like they invest in stocks, and he thinks like people like the Coen brothers have a lot of people investing in their stock, and no matter what they turn out." These people will like it and give it the thumbs up. He's basically saying these people are not very objective. Like if you step out of that zone, you'll see that, hey, some of their movies aren't that good.
Well, I'm sure the people who star in this movie find the script funny. That's why they're in it.
Yeah, yeah,
But like I said, insider movies are a tough sell because people, the general audience, are not in on the jokes.
yeah, right.
Number three, The Revenant. Like as we say, holding up extremely well. It made 7.1 million over the weekend. In 7 weeks, it's nearing 150 million.
Drop off of about 44%, which is, yeah, it's not holding up anymore. It's
Well, it's already
kind of
seven
dead.
weeks. It's already 7 weeks, and it's still the top three.
Yeah, yeah. But, 45% drop off. I mean, sure, there's a Super Bowl. We'll have to see next week.
But still, I'm saying as long as it holds
Yeah,
relatively.
yeah. Compared to the other films, the hold is decent.
And of course, the movie cost 135 million to make, which is kind of expensive.
Yeah, I
but
think
but
the majority of that cost went into the beer, though. It is eventually revealed that the beer was completely CGI.
oh wow, okay.
And with anything with CGI, it costs a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But still, I think this movie right now is the front runner for an Oscar. The momentums with this movie, so it got the Oscar noms. It won. I don't know what the
The
SAGs.
Golden Globes,
It won the directors for the Directors Guild. So yeah, this movie's on the fast track for the Oscars.
yeah, unless the Big Short does a big upset, which is highly possible because in the past they were, like the Hurt Locker, which didn't even do nearly as well as The Big Short, ended up winning the Best Picture. Or the year after that was another, what was it? The Birdman? Yeah, and then, Birdman, another, limited indie movie, won Best Picture. So it's not out of the question that The Big Short might cause a
Well,
big upset.
yeah, we have to see because for these awards, we don't look at the box office. We look at what else they're winning. from all these critic societies, from all these industry groups. If they're winning all those awards, there's a good chance that they'll win the Oscar as well.
Yeah. Number 4, Star Wars: The Force Awakens, 6.9 million, a 38% drop off. That's actually the lowest in the top 10. So far, it has made 906 million in the US. Huh?
Yeah, milestone reach, right? We remember we say that it'll probably make across 900 million this week. It did it. Yay.
Yeah, another milestone. Yeah. It's definitely not going to catch Titanic's worldwide figure unless they re-release it multiple times.
Right.
Unless they find a way to re-release it.
Another edit.
George Lucas's edit.
Yes, right. He comes back and add more stuff to it.
Yeah.
More CGI. Okay. Okay, so how about we move on to number 5? The other new release, Nicholas Sparks' The Choice. It made about 6 million over the weekend.
What figure were we putting it at?
Oh, yes, that's the good stuff. Let's see. The Choice, I had it around 5 million. You said it would do about 8.
It's kind of closer to you, but kind of in the middle.
We have to assume that if the Super Bowl didn't happen, it'll be closer to yours.
I think this does put the Nicholas Sparks genre. It is trending downwards.
According to Box Office Mojo, this is the lowest Nicholas Sparks opening.
Right. I do have to say though, a lot of it has to do with his 2 biggest or three or 4 biggest films actually have leading stars that can. I mean, one of them had Channing Tatum, and the other one has Ryan Gosling.
Right, you actually know who these people are. For this one, you don't.
Yeah, you don't. They're not big names that you recognize. So I'll give him a pass for this. It doesn't say good things about it since it was poorly reviewed too.
Wait. You have to tell us how poorly reviewed.
8% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes, you have to get this on record. It's 8% on Rotten Tomatoes, but surprisingly a B+ cinema score. So, hey, but given the audience, to be expected.
B+ is actually average, not good. In order for film to have good word of mouth, it has to be A to A+, because B+ is the average. Almost any movie gets a B+ unless it's a horror film.
Okay, so what the cinema score tells us is that Nicholas Sparks fans give this movie a okay score. Say some liked it, some don't. So kind of average.
Until Channing Tatum or Ryan Gosling returns for a Nicholas Sparks movie, and if that bombs at the box office, then we can say, hey, the Nicholas Sparks genre is kind of over and done with.
Well, those 2 guys won't return. They don't need Nicholas Sparks anymore.
Yeah, that's true. They don't.
But this box office take is to be expected because, hey, there's no recognizable name in this movie.
And it has that feel of, another Nicholas Sparks, romance.
Well, it's not just another Nicholas Sparks movie. It's just like people, or he has these same motifs. In his movies,
there's always the woman who gets sick or the guy who gets sick, has some kind of terminal illness, and then they have to reevaluate their entire relationship.
Right, and all these scenic scenes, lakes, beaches, campfires,
and posters with Photoshop biceps,
abs.
Yeah, abs.
It's always the men, right? It's always the men having to show their bodies.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to number 6. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which did even worse than The Choice. It made 5.2 million at a budget of 28 million. This doesn't bode well for this mashup genre that didn't really take off after Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter / Killer.
Yes. Well, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies is really the surprise of the weekend. We thought it would do probably about 10 million, but it did way less than that, given even our most pessimistic projections.
Let me see. I had it at 10 and you had it at 15, right?
No, I think I'd say about 10 too. I had it at 15, but I downgraded it because of Natalie Portman's producing.
Okay, right. You're basically saying Natalie Portman shouldn't produce any movies.
Yes. Look at her track record.
Yeah, not good so far.
Yeah, I think at one point she was attached to be in a movie as well, but she ended up producing it instead. Wise choice given that Jane Got a Gun.
Yeah, didn't do that well. Yeah.
Huge drop off.
She's not right for the action woman role. Just because of the way she looks, she doesn't have that commanding action woman presence that Jennifer Lopez has. Or even, Angelina Jolie, even though her arms are really skinny.
Right. But like we said, Seth Grahame-Smith's material are not fit for movies.
Yeah,
It
they
just
read well. You can read the humor, but the humor doesn't translate onto the screen. It doesn't get the romance crowd, and it doesn't get the zombie crowd. So it's that weird group of people who took a chance, like the horror crowd, or like, I'll go check it out, and maybe the romance crowd. I doubt there's any romance crowd going there to check it out with the
well,
with zombies.
yeah, that's true. I mean, this movie has been in development for a long time, and with various people coming on
Right.
and go, on and off.
Yeah.
When I read that they killed it, I said, "Yay!" I mean, this would never work, but somehow it ended up Sony ended up picking it up and made this movie. So, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know
Uh,
what they see in this movie, actually, this material.
well, they saw that the books are such huge hits.
Uh, I guess they just don't know why it was a huge hit.
Yeah, maybe not.
We'll probably see this movie drop off the top 10 come next week. All right, how about we move on to number 7, The Finest Hours. It made 4.7 million in its second weekend, and it is right now it's at 18 million. It's
Mhm.
a movie about Chris Pine, starring as a Coast Guard who has to rescue a boat that got stranded in a big storm.
Of all the movies in the top 10, it's the one with the biggest drop off, 54%. This is pretty much a bomb. I read that the budget is 70 to 80 million, and it's dropping off pretty quickly. And it looks like it's not going to make much more than 25 million, at most 30. I don't think it'll reach 30. At a budget of 70 to 80 million, you're going to lose a big chunk of money.
Yeah, I mean, outside of his Star Trek movies, Chris Pine's movies are not that they didn't perform that well. We always thought that he would open to 15 million like his other movies, but this one opened to 10.
All right, should we move
Yes.
on to number 8? Why Along 2? At 4.5 million, 46% drop off, has made 77 million so far on a $40 million budget. It's still kind of way off from what the first one did. First one did about 120 or 130 million. This one looks like it is going to top off at around 90, 85.
Which is still
So
pretty good. I mean, given his modish budget, like 40 million.
yeah, it's very good given its modest budget, but it's off a decent chunk from the first film. But
Uh,
still very profitable, and they'll probably do another one.
Pretty sure. Okay, moving on to number 9 is The Boy. It made
Mhm.
about 4 million in its third week, and it's nearing 27 million. The budget is 10.
For a horror film, it's holding up pretty well because it has never experienced the usual drop that you see the horror films experience, which is the 60 to 70% drop.
Hmm
And The Boy has experienced drop offs in the mid 40s, which is really good.
Remember the snowstorm didn't affect it much?
Yeah, and neither did the Super Bowl.
Right.
All right, should we move on to number 10? Dirty Grandpa made 4 million, 47% drop off, and it has made 29 million after 3 weeks, which is, for a comedy starring Robert De Niro and Zac Efron, when you think of it, isn't too bad. As long as they won't pay too much, they should make a profit on this.
I don't think this movie cost that much to make. Maybe 5 to 10 or maybe even 15.
No, I think it costs probably a lot more than that.
Really? Well, we'll have to take a look at this budget then, but I don't think it'll cost that much. So it looks like
Yeah,
it did okay, but not
yeah.
not a big moneymaker for Lionsgate.
We're not going to see 30 Grandpa 2, for instance.
No,
Oh, hey,
dirtier
you might
grandpa.
be right. You might be right. I did a search on Google and it's listing it as 11.5 million. You're right again.
I'm more right than wrong. Okay.
It's not from Hollywood or Variety, so I'm not too sure how reliable this is. It's from 411mania.com.
Okay. Well, it's probably within that ballpark because like there's not a lot of sets. They take advantage of like spring break and film all these
Mm.
people.
You think that Robert De Niro would cost at least 5 million and Zac Efron would cost at least 5 million, and that's already 10 million, and they made it for 11.5. So hey,
I
maybe they
don't.
got them for a lot cheaper.
I don't know. Maybe they just have a deal, one of these deals where they get a cut of the profits.
Oh, it could be, yeah. But you know what? If the budget is truly 11 and a half, this is actually a very successful movie. It's good enough for sequels because it made almost 3 times its budget.
Right, but I doubt that they'll make a sequel.
Yeah, because it's so poorly reviewed. The reception isn't that good.
Right. Like the reviews are bad, audience score is probably bad. I think the stars probably don't want to return for this one, given that they have better choices, and
Yeah, right,
they're probably not paid a lot for this movie as well.
right. All
All
right.
right.
Anything in the list
Well, yeah,
about
it's just a follow-up. 50 Shades of Black came in 13. It made
it?
about 2.1 million, experienced a huge drop-off, 63%, and it's closing at 10 million in the second weekend.
So not very good.
Not very good. As we said, the spoof genre has come and gone. If they keep the budget low, they'll make okay money, but not gonna blow up again unless they have some funnier movie to spoof.
Right.
Okay, and also following up with another movie in its second week end of release is Jane Got a Gun. It
Mm.
experienced a 84.8% drop off. That's huge. I guess it's the second of all time we saw a drop
Wow.
off. It opened in over 1,000 theaters and it made 127K in the second weekend. Its
Wow.
total right now is 1.3 million.
Here's the Monkey King 2 in 3D. Again, one of these Chinese movies that are released day and date or closer to day and date, made 175 grand in 38 screens. For screen average of 4,600, kind of modest, okay number. But compared to the previous releases where they wait a couple years, this is actually really good. I mean, it made in 1 week what previous films have done in their entire one. And in month three, held up decent, 41% drop off, made 308,000 over the weekend in about 108 theaters. And so far it's made about 2.2 million. For limited release, that's actually not too bad.
As I said, it could do with an advertising push.
Yeah,
Mike
yeah,
Tyson versus Donnie Yen.
yeah. But most of these indie distributors don't have that kind of money because they pay like 1 million for the rights. They really don't have much to spend on advertising.
Or they don't want to spend on advertising.
Yeah, true.
All right, so that's it for the box office this past weekend. How about we move on to the openings? Okay, we have three: Deadpool, How to
Mhm.
Be Single, and Zoolander 2. So let's start off with Deadpool.
Just a note, all three of them have comedic elements. That's
And,
all I have to
and
say.
okay, and action elements, I have to
Yeah,
say
and
too.
action elements for two of them. Unless, yeah, for How to Be Single, the other kind of action element,
Yes, we
right?
have to redefine action.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Right.
Okay, right.
Okay. Like you said, let's start with Deadpool. They put in a Super Bowl trailer. I didn't really like this wisecracking superhero shtick that they've been doing in the previous trailers. It didn't. I didn't quite connect with it, and I didn't think it would do well. But I actually liked the Super Bowl trailer, which has the wisecracks and lots of action that you would expect from a superhero movie. The reviews have been surprisingly good. 85% on Rotten Tomatoes so far, with was it 39 reviews already. And I read that early tracking numbers had it as a 70 million opening, which would be huge at this time of the year. Your reaction?
Ye- My reaction is that same as you. The early trailers doesn't impress me much, but this latest one is like, wow, there is something here. It's so crazy that it might work. And given Ryan Reynolds' track record with superhero movies, like especially Green Lantern,
Which
that's
everyone consider crap, but still open to 50 something million.
right, but it was a disappointment because it didn't
Yeah,
have the legs. It didn't carry through to make the money. So that his career as the Green Lantern is over. But
yeah,
there's Deadpool, right?
yeah,
X-Men Origin did well, and Deadpool was in development for a long while. I also have to point out that this movie is rated R. It's pretty rare for a superhero movie.
yeah, yeah. I thought when they finally threw in all the action elements in the Super Bowl trailer, I thought that finally popped out at me. I'm like,
Mm.
oh, okay, I'm actually watching a superhero movie and not just a low budget movie about a guy who just has wisecracks.
And another thing, it is not just Deadpool. He's not in this movie by himself. They actually added X-Men characters
Oh,
with him, like Colossus
oh, right, right, yeah,
and some other character as well. So it's not
right,
just him. So there
yeah,
is some tie-in with the X-Men movies.
right, right, right. What do you think of the early tracking numbers? 70 million. I'm like, whoa, that seems really high to me
Yeah,
at
I
first.
thought it's crazy, given
But
that
then,
it is
but
an
then,
R-rated
yeah,
movie, right?
yeah. But then I see the reviews. I'm like, whoa, that's a lot higher than I expected too. And box office has been kind of slow in the last couple of weeks. So hey, maybe this could be the movie that gives it a joke.
The summer months is on, I have to say, with Deadpool. We're back with the superhero movies, the big, loud action pieces.
Yeah.
It's here, it's right now. This is the start of the, I guess, the year.
The other thing is it does offer something different.
Yeah,
Here's the
that's
guy.
that's what I'm saying. It's that it sounds so crazy, like an R-rated movie, butts and guts, and
Yeah.
that it seems like, hey, it's kind of funny. So I think it actually will work. I've been following this movie for some time. The movie, like the studio Fox, doesn't want the movie to be R-rated because it limits the audience somewhat,
Right.
right? But they push through. They have some revisions, and I guess they believe in the material, and they got this thing made.
Yeah, it's one of those films that if it fails, it'll fail miserably. But if it succeeds, it's one of those things that would be hugely successful. And it looks like it might be hugely successful based on the reviews.
No, I think it'll do better than what it was originally projected to do, right? Because I didn't know that they have other X-Men characters in it. I mean, if it's just a movie with just him, I don't think
Mm,
it'll do as well or will
mm.
do as well. But
All right, so
70
throw out a
million
number,
sounds a little bit crazy to me.
especially for a rated R movie. That does limit your audience.
For me, my projection is I don't think I'll have it that high. Realistically, I think I could do probably 40 to 50. I
Okay,
had it
so
originally lower before, but I thought, maybe this movie does have something going for it. But I revised my projection up.
should we do the 4-day weekend or the 3-day weekend?
Either way works.
Yeah.
Another day will add probably a couple more million, 10, 15
Uh,
million.
yeah, not yeah, a lot more. When it's a holiday, it's a lot more than your normal weekday. If we're going by just 3 day, I'll just stick with 50.
How much will it do in 4 days?
4 days, I'll put it at 60 then.
About 10 million more.
Doesn't quite make sense, but yeah,
Okay, all right, all right. I guess we both agree that there's something to this movie. It's big, but
yeah,
we don't know how big.
yeah.
But
But
kind of
our expectations before this was so low, though. My expectations were really low. And then the reviews came out, and then they're like, "Hey, this thing actually works." And then I'm like, "Oh." And then the tracking numbers came out. I'm like, "What? 70 million?"
Well,
But
you
those
can
things
blame
you
us, right? You can
realize,
blame us for having such low expectation because given the concept of this movie, right, a
yeah,
superhero movie that's actually a comedy and
yeah,
it's full of gore, beheadings, etc., right? And it
right.
talks back at the audience. Like you said, if it fails, it would fail spectacularly, and it would
Mm.
turn people off from this type of movie forever.
Yeah. But if it succeeds, it can't be what we unique. It can't
Well,
be.
no, no. Here's the thing: if it succeed, right,
Mm.
it tells studios that R-rated superhero movies can work and they can go for darker material.
Yeah, true.
So
And
it could,
more humor.
right, it could open the floodgates for more of these type of movies.
And this opens up the whole X-Men universe for Fox.
So it's not just the X-Men anymore. So they can have
Yeah.
other maybe well, unfortunately they gave up Daredevil.
Yeah. Hey, but now they have Deadpool to play
Uh,
around with.
yeah, they have Deadpool, they have the X-Men, which is
Oh
huge,
yeah,
you know.
yep, yep. And then X-Men Apocalypse looks like a huge thing.
So it seems like Fox is carving their own niche in the superhero movies, all right? It's not just
Yeah,
Marvel anymore. There's Fox, which takes really Marvel characters, but they're succeeding with it, right?
yeah, yeah,
Now the thing is like we have to see if WB can succeed with theirs, given their huge, catalog as well.
yeah. Right. Right. Should we move on to Zoolander?
Okay, Zoolander 2.
I think this is one of those cult hits. Yeah, I don't think Zoolander, the original one, did super well. I think it only made like 30 to 40 million at the box office.
Okay, yeah, the first
Okay.
movie opened to about 15 million. It went on to close about 45 million. Worldwide, it
Yeah.
only made 60. So it's not like a huge, huge hit. It's one of those movies that got popular on video, home video.
Yeah, it got popular on home video and people started quoting from it and it became a part of pop culture. And I wonder if that will push the sequel to bigger numbers.
Here's the thing. First movie didn't do that well in theaters. It came to life on home videos where more people are allowed to watch it.
Mhm.
Will that translate to the sequel? Will that all that goodwill be there for the sequel? And after so many years,
Yeah, it's been
um,
14 years.
yeah, they're pretty much kind of like, okay, we're taking what works in the first movie. We're
Mhm.
gonna do it again for the sequel. About Ben Stiller and
Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson. They play models, right? They somehow
Yeah.
turn into spies for some group. Penelope Cruz is there. I get a sense of Cars 2 here for me. They take a comedy and then they make it into an international action adventure movie. I don't think it'll do that well. And the audience for, I think, Zoolander 2 is also the audience for Deadpool.
Think
College
so?
kids.
Yeah, both are comedic, but one is more of an action comedy. This one kind of a comedy action, I guess. More
Hmm.
straight comedy.
Yes, and I don't know how it would translate. Like I say, a number of years has passed,
Hmm.
and I don't know if the people who watched the first one would turn out for the second one, or if they acquire any new audience. So my projection for this movie, it'll be somewhere in the 15 to 20 million range. 3 days or
Yeah,
4 days, whatever. I think it'll be around there.
I'm kind of with you, but I'll go just a notch higher. I'll go 20 to 25.
Okay. So we're not banking on this movie being huge. It'll probably do a little bit better than the first movie
Hmm.
because given the brand, given that it is a comedy, Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson, Will Ferrell,
Hmm.
Kristen Wiig, Penelope Cruz. But
It's been so long.
yeah, it's been so long and Deadpool is here. And
Yeah,
I think Deadpool is the movie to beat.
yeah.
Okay, How to Be Single. The next new releases Rebel Wilson, Dakota Johnson, Leslie Mann comedy. It's in the line with all the other women comedies, right? With Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, girl power. It's not just them waiting for the guy. Not the old romantic comedies anymore. It's
Yeah,
about the single girls finding love instead of
yeah,
the guys finding love.
right. So do you think women will turn out for it? It's
Uh,
opening super wide, like, even more wide than Zoolander 2.
well, this movie stars Dakota Johnson, even though Rebel Wilson has a large size role.
Hmm.
But it is actually Dakota Johnson who was in 50 Shades of Grey.
Right.
This movie is no coincidence that it's opening at the same time as 50 Shades of Grey, Valentine's
Ah,
Day. Will women turn out for this?
it is Valentine's Day, huh?
It is Valentine's Day, but I'm not sure about Dakota Johnson's star power.
Mm,
She's kind of subdued for me in this movie. And
yeah.
Rebel Wilson, even though I think she is the supporting player,
No, she has those pitch fever.
she has a fever movie, but Rebel Wilson is more flavor instead of the main ingredient. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So she adds comedy. She's like a bit contrast to the main character, but
yeah.
Dakota Johnson,
Well,
other
this
than
is the
50
kind of,
Shades of Grey, still not. I don't think people know who she is.
well, she only has one big hit. But a lot of people gave her good reviews for 50 Shades of Grey, though. I feel like it's one of those movies where you need a funny person and then you need a straight person. And this one, she's kind of like the strict person, and Rebel Wilson's the funny person. And,
Mm.
it probably works out.
Yeah, but I don't get that thing from Dakota Johnson. So
So
I
what
think
number are
this.
you putting it on?
I'm probably 15 to 20 million because this, it is a
Right.
comedy, female comedy.
Yeah.
So I think it could
And this
probably
is
do around that
Valentine.
much. Yeah. Huh?
Okay, yeah. It might be one of those movies that we perpetually underestimate too. Like I
Yes,
never estimated. I never thought the Pitch Fever movies would be that huge.
and this is for the female crowd. I mean, they might
Yeah,
like these stuff. We don't know.
you're right. So I'm thinking 15 to 22, but I think I might be underestimating it. Well, I guess it is a 4-day weekend, so there's probably a lot of people who go out to watch movies. Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with you this week. Except I'm kind of a notch higher on Zoolander 2 and Deadpool. Same expectation with you on How to Be Single. So
Uh,
we'll see.
right. I mean, the thing to look for this weekend is how Deadpool will do.
How
If it,
high, yeah, how high Deadpool will do, yeah.
yeah, because this is one of those rare movies where it is a superhero movie. It is all rated,
It is
uh,
well reviewed.
well reviewed. It has foul language, has gore. So
Yeah,
if this movie does well, we can expect to see other movie introducing, like harder stuff.
yeah,
Maybe we can see other studio following suit. Maybe for WB, for example, the
yeah,
new
right.
Batman movies could take a even darker turn.
Although probably not as gory.
Not as gory, but they could say, we could do this, and the audience is still there for us. They
Yeah.
wouldn't be turned
Well,
away from this.
it'll be more like the Guardians of the Galaxy thing where you can have a talking raccoon. Why not a wisecracking superhero?
Yeah, but this is more of the gore, so
Yeah,
it's not just wisecracking. This is
yeah,
more like kid. They still think that a superhero movie is for younger kids.
yeah. And
But this
this,
one kind of saying, hey, it's okay to be even darker.
yeah, this might finally do what like the Punisher movies were trying to do. They were, very gory, very bloody, rated R, but they were ignored. Even after two reboots, they were ignored. And so, Deadpool might be a rated R superhero movie that actually does well.
And Ryan Reynolds, right?
Mhm.
His movie didn't do that well, but I guess he finally found a role
Yeah, maybe
where
this is the kind of role that fits him because,
he
most of the
finally covers his face, where his
media.
face is covered. So maybe that's it. That's the ticket.
If you're considered a good-looking person, you have to cover your face.
For Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, for Ryan Reynolds. Or maybe he finally found the role, because he was a comedian, and so he finally finds a superhero role that can use his comedic talents.
Which is kind of surprising to hear, by the way. Like
Yeah,
Ryan Reynolds is a comedian.
yeah. He's a sex symbol to women. Before he was a sex symbol, he was doing all these comedies.
And then we find Zoolander 2 coming back for more. Yeah, it's one of those movies that been they talked about for a long time. They never found, I guess, a good reason to do them, and I guess they finally got tired of people asking them for it, and they finally did it. And they put them into a story with international intrigue, I guess.
Well, I think they finally did it because Ben Stiller's career not going too well. So, gotta pull down his bag of sequels. Put
Right,
his
right.
hands in his bag of sequels.
Yes, going back to the well.
Yeah. And we'll see if Dakota Johnson, almost at Dakota Fanning, Dakota Johnson can become a legitimate star.
All right, if she has a making of a legitimate star, because Fifty Shades of Grey sells itself,
Mhm.
right? They can have anyone in it really, and it'll probably open well. So outside of the 50 Shades movie, can she break out?
Yeah, we'll see next
Hmm.
week.